On March the 7th, 2025, the state of South Carolina carried out one of the most controversial executions in modern American history. The condemned man was Brad Sigman, a 56-year-old inmate who had spent over 2 decades on death row after being convicted of taking the lives of his ex-girlfriend's parents back in 2001. What made his execution stand out wasn't just the brutality of his crime, but the method by which he was put to death. Sigmund was executed by firing squad, a method that hadn't been used anywhere in the United States in over 15 years and never before in the state of South Carolina. In this video, we'll explore the tragic story of obsession that led to two innocent deaths, the long legal battle that followed, his chilling final meal, his last words, and what really happened inside that small, heavily guarded execution chamber on his final day. Brad Sigman and Rebecca Barbar met in the late 1990s. At first, their relationship seemed ordinary, two young adults from Greenville County, South Carolina, trying to build a life together. They dated for 3 years and even shared a home. But friends and family noticed early signs of trouble. Sigman was controlling, jealous, and prone to violent outbursts when things didn't go his way. Rebecca's friends recalled moments when he'd show up uninvited, accuse her of cheating, or check her phone and emails constantly. By early 2001, Rebecca had had enough. She broke up with Sigman and moved back in with her parents, David and Gladys Lark, hoping for a fresh start. But Brad couldn't accept it was over. Instead of moving on, he began to stalk Rebecca. He would drive by her parents' house late at night, leave messages on her answering machine, and even contact her family members pretending he wanted to apologize. On the evening of June 1st, 2001, Brad Sigman spent time with a friend, Eugene Sturba. The two smoked marijuana, but the conversation quickly took a disturbing turn. Sigman told Sturba about a plan he'd been forming to break into the Lark family home, tie up Rebecca's parents, and force her to talk to him. Sturba was horrified. He refused to be part of it and tried to talk Brad out of it. But Sigman, in a haze of anger and delusion, seemed determined. That night, while most of Greenville County slept, Brad prepared for what he later called a conversation that went too far. At dawn on June 2nd, 2001, Sigman broke into the Lark residence. He was armed with a baseball bat and wearing gloves. Inside the house, David and Gladys Lark were beginning their morning routine when Brad attacked. He struck both victims multiple times in the head, continuing long after they had fallen. The scene was horrific. Investigators later described it as one of the most brutal double homicides in the county's history. After the attack, Sigman took David's handgun and waited for Rebecca to return home. When she did, she was met with the unimaginable. Her parents dead, and Brad standing in the doorway holding a gun. He threatened her, forced her into his car, and began driving north toward North Carolina, claiming he only wanted to talk. But Rebecca saw a chance to escape. Somewhere near the state line, she opened the door and jumped from the moving vehicle, running into nearby woods as Brad fired several shots after her. Miraculously, she survived, though she was later hospitalized with injuries. Her escape triggered an intense 11-day manhunt across the region. Brad Sigman became one of the most wanted men in South Carolina. For nearly 2 weeks, law enforcement agencies coordinated across Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Tips came in from hikers, gas station attendants, and even tourists. Finally, on June 13th, a man matching Sigman's description was spotted in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Local police moved in and arrested him without incident. He was extradited to South Carolina to face charges of double murder, kidnapping, and assault with intent to kill. The case drew national attention due to its shocking brutality and the emotional testimony from the surviving victim, Rebecca Barbar, whose entire family had been destroyed by someone she once loved. Sigman's trial began on July 18, 2002. From day one, the prosecution presented overwhelming forensic evidence: the bloody baseball bat, DNA samples, and the gun stolen from David Lark. Detectives even recreated the timeline of the attack. During one chilling demonstration, Detective Mike McName walked jurors through the distance Sigman covered while attacking both victims, showing just how deliberate and sustained the violence had been. Throughout the trial, Sigman's behavior remained erratic. At times, he smiled and displayed old photographs of Rebecca to the court, confusing jurors and frustrating his own lawyers. During sentencing, his ex-wife, Cheryl Tomberlin, took the stand and spoke of the domestic abuse she had endured during their marriage, reinforcing the portrait of a man with a long history of violence. When the verdict came in, the jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning a unanimous decision: death by execution. As the sentence was read, Sigman's mother, Virginia Woot, broke down in tears, while Rebecca sat silently in the gallery, the only survivor of the horror that destroyed her family. For the next 23 years, Brad Sigman lived on death row at South Carolina's Broad River Correctional Institution. He spent most of his days reading the Bible, writing letters, and filing appeals. Over the years, he claimed he had found religion, often quoting scripture to argue against the morality of capital punishment, the very sentence he'd been given. But every appeal failed. Courts repeatedly upheld the conviction, calling the evidence clear, consistent, and beyond dispute. His execution date was finally set for March 7, 2025. When given the option, Sigman chose firing squad over lethal injection. His attorney said he feared the chemical method might cause unnecessary suffering, citing reports of past executions where inmates appeared conscious for several minutes after injection. The firing squad hadn't been used in the U.S. since 2010, and never in South Carolina. In 2022, the state spent over $500,000 constructing a secure execution chamber to accommodate this rarely used method. Inside, a bulletproof glass window separated witnesses from the condemned. A heavy chair, equipped with straps, drainage holes, and a protective wall for the shooters, sat at the center of the room. Only the inmate's profile was visible to the witnesses. The firing team, made up of 3 trained prison staff, remained hidden behind the wall. Each rifle was loaded with live ammunition aimed at the inmate's heart. For Sigman, this would be his final stage. The night before his death, Sigman was allowed to request a final meal. At first, he asked for 3 buckets of KFC's original recipe chicken, intending to share it with other inmates on death row. That request was denied. Prison policy allows only 1 meal for the condemned. Instead, he was served a smaller version: 4 pieces of fried chicken, green beans, and mashed potatoes with gravy, biscuits, cheesecake, and sweet tea. He ate quietly and reportedly thanked the staff who delivered it. According to prison logs, he slept little that night. In the morning of March 7th, Sigman was led from his cell and given the opportunity to make a final statement. He spoke softly, expressing his opposition to the death penalty and quoting 4 Bible passages, claiming that nowhere in the New Testament does God give man the authority to kill another man. At exactly 6 p.m., Sigman was strapped into the chair, a black hood placed over his head. 3 rifles were aimed at a small, taped mark over his heart. When the director gave the command, the sound of the shots echoed through the chamber, loud, sharp, and final. Witnesses said Sigman's body jolted once, then went still. He was pronounced dead at 6:08 p.m. For those in attendance, the scene was deeply unsettling. His attorney, Gerald Bo King, later described it as horrible and violent, calling it a bloody spectacle that had no place in modern America. After the execution, the debate reignited across the nation. Some saw the firing squad as a barbaric relic of the past. Others argued it was a swift, certain form of justice. For Rebecca Barber, the surviving victim, the moment was bittersweet. In her first interview in nearly 24 years, she said Sigman's actions destroyed her family and her faith in people. But even she opposed his execution, saying, "Life imprisonment should have been enough. Death is something only God should decide." Her words captured the complicated emotions surrounding the case: pain, loss, forgiveness, and a longing for closure that might never truly come. Brad Sigman's case remains one of the most haunting in South Carolina's criminal history, a story of love twisted into obsession and of justice carried out in a way few thought they would see again. His execution marked a dark milestone, the first firing squad execution in South Carolina, and a reminder that even in 2025, America's struggle with the death penalty is far from over. What do you think about the execution that just took place? Do you believe it was just or not? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the next executions.